Okay, hi. I am recording this video because I attended a MAP training um, during PD Day in December, and I'm supposed to share all the things that I learned during that training. So I'll start with key terms and like key understandings for the MAP test, and then we really just went over a lot of the reports and how to analyze the data from the reports. So bear with me because I am not David and I don't do one take. So the first key point from the meeting was that the test is adaptive. And so a lot of people, myself included, were really trying to figure out, how do I see these kids getting all these questions wrong, yet their scores are improving dramatically? It just didn't make sense. Like, oh, this test is dumb. What I learned was that the test is so adaptive and it adapts so quickly that it is giving accurate data for students' levels, because students are expected to miss at least 50% of the questions. They're giving them things at all types of levels to try to gauge where they're at. And so this will lead them to get very, very high level questions because the test is kind of assuming that they're not there yet. And if they get those questions correct, they kind of stay along those lines until they come up with the student's accurate achievement level. Because of this, they also
They encouraged
really
us.
told us that we should concentrate on our prepping the students before they take the test. There are a lot of high achievers that could be really turned off or really discouraged by the fact that they don't understand the material or are getting a lot of higher level questions. And we should be preparing our students for this test by letting them know that the test is going to give you things that they don't expect you to know, and they have to be okay with that. Um, Another key thing was that the RIT score, the RIT score, is based off of the Rush scale, RAUCSH. It's not tied to grade level at all. So the equal intervals is for every grade level from K to 12 with the numbers. And I forget the specific numbers that they start with and they go up to. However, it correlates to the skills that the student is likely to learn throughout that school year. Normative data typically identifies the average scores for each grade level, subject, or season, which would be spring, winter, or fall. The normative data is determined by looking at the scores from students who tested across the country at the same time intervals. So when we get our normative data, it's based off of the whatever interval Reynoldsburg selected. So it could be like 16 weeks in between testing. And our data is only going to be norm referenced next to other schools or other districts that have done that same number of weeks. So if you test your students in week 2 and then you test your students again in week 18, your norm
That would be
reference data is
16
going to be
weeks.
compared to other people in across the nation that have tested in those same weeks. If you test in week 1 and week 19, then you would have
That would be
different
18
norm reference
weeks.
data. So some people might have different numbers or a different reference scale to look at when you're looking at those data points. And I'll show you that in a minute. And the last thing was that the test gives us instructional levels, not mastery. It doesn't grade the students. It's supposed to give us a roadmap to help us to know, where do we begin teaching our students and where can we meet them at their needs. So if we have standards or things that are mastered, that's great. However, it also gives us like specific points to where to start our teaching.